Good day, Internet.
Hi, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, good night, and good morrow. I sometimes look into the future
Yeah.
for our show.
Are you?
Well, hello there, Internet.
You know that interview? You know that style of gum you've been hoping would come back and stuff? You know that interview you've been chasing? Is that likely to happen by the end of this week? Because I've got a thing I want to schedule if it's not.
Very good question. Thank you for asking. I had kind of forgot about it. So let me
Okay.
let me
ping
let me
them
deal with that.
and let me know. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
All
Cool.
right.
We got time.
Sarah, I have something for you. Well, I have something for me, recommended by you. I have some crystal hot sauce.
Oh my goodness.
My first attempt at some crystal hot sauce going into my breakfast bowl that I'll be shoving down my throat while you guys are doing the...
So you haven't even tried it yet?
I have not. I opened it right as I was coming in the room.
How exciting.
So
This makes me very happy for anybody
So this
who's
would be-
like,
this would
what
be
are we,
the
what are we
first
talking
dab.
about? This is crystal hot sauce is my very favorite. Well, I've got a couple favorites, but it really is my favorite. It's my favorite hot sauce. It's not salsa. It's not tapatio. It's just hot sauce. And
I have added a liberal amount to my breakfast.
yeah, what else you got in there? That looks good.
It's some egg, potato, and sausage with a little bit of bacon
Oh yeah,
crumble.
no, crystal is real good for something like that. In fact, I had gotten. I told everybody that I had ordered pizza on the show yesterday, and I ate all the leftovers. And then you know what I did with some of the pizza crust that I didn't eat? Put crystal on it.
Hell yeah, you
And
did.
I ate it.
Like a boss, you did.
That's right.
All right. We're gonna go in for the first bite here.
Oh, this is so exciting.
Breaking
Wow.
news. If I can get it to where it's not dangling and gonna go into my beard. Let's see. All right.
Meanwhile, I'm looking for pictures of my dog on my dog walker's Instagram. Just that I'm not being rude.
That's really good.
Yeah, it is.
Told you.
I like that. It's very similar to Tabasco sauce, but it's got several
It's
other
same but
notes
different.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tabasco.
It's almost
I've also-
milder but more flavorful.
I also, Tabasco, I don't hate you. But I'm like, when you put the two of them together, you go with crystal every time. That's what it is.
Tabasco is
Watery in a way
Well,
that I
yeah.
don't like very much.
it's acceptable is how I describe Tabasco. Like some people hate on it, and I'm like, no, it's fine. Like I wouldn't if it's the only thing there, I'll use it.
Yeah.
Because it's not bad.
Yeah.
And in fact, I
Put a
got
little
real
Tabasco
excited.
on a hash browns at a diner.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what's on
totally.
the table. I'm fine with it.
It's the benchmark of hot sauces, which is
I was
intentionally
super
bland.
excited to see it in Japan where they never have hot sauce. So I was like, any hot sauce at all, like Tabasco, that's great. At this one place that we went. But yeah, if I have another choice, I'll usually take the other choice. Although there's that Tabasco Chipotle that's pretty good.
That and we got a tip in our mailbag about that.
I know.
So
That was a good tip.
Going into the salsa category, and I mean, depending on where you live, first of all, some people just don't like salsa, which is like, you know what, that's fine, you do you. But for those of us who do like salsa, depending on where you are in the world, you're just going to have various options. Casa Sanchez, which is made up in the Bay Area. So you see a lot of it there, but also in LA, you see a fair amount of Casa Sanchez here. I think it's just the best salsa.
Casa Sanchez is my benchmark.
Yeah,
Like,
it's just
there
like-
are a few salsas that I consider better for certain purposes. But if you're like, I just need to have salsa, nothing beats Casa Sanchez. It's so
No,
good.
it's so good. And I go with, there's mild, medium, and hot. I always go with hot because I like a little heat.
Me too.
However,
we end up getting medium though because Eileen is like, maybe not. hot
yeah,
all the time.
they're both good. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just, I like a little punch. Just punch me in the face. But the other day,
Salsa.
I was yes, salsa.
Only
the
salsa,
salsa. The other day I was at the grocery store and they were just like out of Casa Sanchez. They were just out. So I was like, really wanted salsa. I was gonna make something. So now I forget the name, so I'm gonna run it. Go get it.
Well, while you run and go get it, I will add, we were in San Jose over the weekend visiting my nieces, and we went to the grocery store near their house, Safeway. And Eileen and I were like, I don't know, the Safeway seems pretty nice. It might even be better than the Ralph's near us. And then we saw a whole refrigerator cabinet end cap just filled with Casa Sanchez. And we're like, yep, no, this Safeway is a superior Safeway.
Did you hear the choir of angels in the background as well?
We just both pointed at it and then looked at each other. We're like, whew.
Now, I have actually had Casa Sanchez is one of my fallbacks, and it's pretty good.
What
It's
is the
great.
one that
They
you
also
settled
make
on?
they also make very good chips.
do.
Casa Sanchez across the board, wonderful. Just keep on keeping on. However,
It's Spanish
all right.
for House Sanchez.
Is it? Okay, so
Tom,
La
it's your language
salsa
hot takes that I'm here
chilena.
for.
Have we seen this
La
before?
salsa chilena? No, I have not.
Let's try to. Yep, there you go.
South America or a pepper? Which one is that? What is on?
It's. Well, I think it's.
Is it a pepper shaped like South America?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
And
Well, the two are
the
similar
little
anyway,
star
so-
is over
Yeah.
in Peru, so I'm not really sure what's going on with that.
Okay.
But it apparently is. I don't know if it's made in San Diego, but that's where it's distributed. However, so I was like, I won't make Casa Sanchez. I'm just going to get this instead. Very good.
Really?
Yes.
Was this at the bodega or at the grocery store?
It was at Ralph's.
Oh, it was Ralph's.
But
Wow,
the
okay.
Ralph's by me is like, I don't know. I don't go to that many Ralph's, but the one by me is like heavy in like international fare.
Ralph's are very they're very customizable, I have found.
Yeah. This one is like you got a solid few aisles of just all sorts of like Jamaican paste and
Oh, really? Wow.
yeah.
The Ralph's
it's
near
a
my
huge
old
Ralph's.
house-
It's the biggest one I've ever been in.
The Ralph's near my old house had limited selection. International aisle was basically Mexican. Like, and I don't mean like old El Paso. I mean like, actual
Yeah.
imports,
Yeah,
right?
right.
But it didn't have a lot of others. So I would always go to the one on Olympic instead because it had an actual Asian section that was worth looking at and like Indian and British foods and a big kosher area. And I was like, okay, this is not bad. The
Yeah.
one near my house now, super good Asian selection, like Korean and Japanese stuff
Same. Yeah.
for days.
Mine for
And
sure.
a lot
just
of
gets worse.
Mexican, South American imports, but none of the Indian or English stuff, which is interesting.
Yeah, I guess
Our
it just
internationals,
they know their clientele after a while.
our international sections up here are like, here's some curry, some special noodles, and maybe a splash of some random sauce.
I thought you were going to say your international section is cilantro.
It's pretty bare.
It's all
we do
it's
have
all stuff from the lower 48. Like,
we do have a store called Red Apple. It's just inside Anchorage, the Red Apple store, and it is all it's basically an Asian market plopped down in an American store.
Okay.
So you go in there and you're not going to see the labels you're used to, but it's all the same smells and flavors and everything else that you're used to. It's all just like it's amazing. So it's hard to beat that place, but yeah, we're
Red
gonna go
Apple.
there to get the really good stuff.
yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, I'm always impressed by what they have in the Ralph's section. Like we go to H Mart or 99 Ranch a lot. But there's a lot we can actually get at the Ralph's here.
Yeah,
which we didn't used
if,
to.
If I'm definitely going for a certain kind of, I don't know, I'm in the mood to make something or just have some staples, I'm definitely going to H Mart because it's really close to me.
Yeah.
There's two of them really close to me, weirdly enough. But yeah, I'm telling you, La Salsa Chilena, very
La
impressed.
Salsa Chilena. Good. I'll put it on the list.
Put it on the
Wonder
list,
if,
yeah.
actually,
30 seconds.
we have 30 seconds for me to use the Ralph's app to see if they have it at my local Ralph's.
I just looked it
I
up
don't know if
online.
I'll
It's
make
like
it.
Vaughn's, Instacart. It was definitely at Ralph's. That's definitely where I got it. Because they don't have it at Sprouts.
Not surprisingly, you cannot get it here.
You cannot get it at my local Ralph's. They have La Mexicana instead.
Not the
I can
same.
get-
Not the same. Doesn't even look the
flavors
same.
of Cholula I didn't know I had, but okay.
Have a good show, everybody.
Good day, Hi, Internet! This is DTNS Live for Tuesday. It's June 10th, 2025. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
From the home of the free, Los Angeles, California, I'm Tom Merritt.
Coming in fresh from a CPAP coma, I'm the producer, Amos.
He's not joking, folks. DTNS Live is made possible by you. Thanks to all of you, including John Atwood, Pat, Mike Cortez, and our new patron, who just goes by the phrase DSE. Welcome, new patron, DSE.
Now, Tom, I'm glad you're in the home of the free. Were you locked up recently? What's happening here?
No, I'm just feeling very, very safe.
Good.
Yeah.
Safe. Yeah.
I mean, every once in a while, everybody should just evaluate their own safety and let people around them know that either I am safe or maybe I'm not.
I've had to
safe.
send a lot of pictures to friends of mine recently of like, no, this is what it actually looks like.
Oh, right. Yes. I understand.
Blue sky,
I've
dogs
also-
walking,
Yeah.
literal white picket fences.
So Tom, are you declaring yourself safe from social media?
Well, that too, yeah.
Well, see, that's actually, therein lies the rub. It's like, stay away from social media. You're like, I don't know, it looks like a nice day today. And then social media, you got
It's
friends
like,
calling,
you're
being like,
wrong.
are you all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine.
You're like, I actually even took a Waymo. It's fine.
I actually saw one last night and I was like, hi.
Hi, look, hi, are you okay?
Hey, yeah, you doing okay? Stay away
This
from
is-
downtown. I
Yeah.
don't think
This is
they can go
one of those
downtown right
one of
now.
those ways that if there's craziness happening in like New York, like I only have one person in New York that can tell me whether or not it's real. But in LA, I never worry because I've got so many people, family and friends and coworkers and everything else that are in LA that
You will know fast.
I will find
Yeah.
out outside of the major news channels or whatever if something crazy is going on. So I don't even worry about LA anymore. Like,
Well,
LA's on fire. Well, no, I haven't heard anything about it.
It was in January.
LA, it will.
You know how I found out,
Giveth
Tom?
and
By
taketh.
you.
Yeah. I remember that.
Well, this is DTNS Live, and we often actually talk about tech news.
We do.
In fact, we do every day.
We mention
This is the
Waymas.
show where we discuss the tech news with each other to help us all understand it a little bit better. And for those of us who are joining us live, we will be watching the chats. So if you have thoughts, do pepper them in because we want to hear from you. In fact, if you're listening live, you can also name this episode. You can head on over to dtns.showbot.tv to submit a title. If it's something we say, you go, you know what, would be a fun title, do that. Submit the title. And then you can vote on others. Maybe you submit, maybe you just vote, maybe you do both at the same time. We'll check back on the votes at the end of the show and we'll pick a winner. All right, now let's kick it off with the top 3 stories we picked for the day. The New York Times sources say that Meta is launching a new AI research lab focused on superintelligence and has recruited Scale AI CEO Alexandr Wang to help lead it. Bloomberg reports that Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has been working to build a 50 or so person elite team to compete in the AGI race. Meta AI recently surpassed 1 billion monthly users.
Scale AI has a lot of military contracts. Nah, they couldn't have anything to do with that. Also, yes, Saray, thank you for sharing thoughts. Saray literally wrote thoughts in the chat. So thank you for sharing that.
I mean, it's a start.
Yeah, it's the right direction.
Yeah.
Apple announced that macOS 26 Tahoe will be the last version of macOS to support Intel-based Macs. There's only a few Intel Macs that will actually even be able to use Tahoe. Those are from 2019 and 2020. Apple has committed to 3 additional years of security updates for those machines as well, which would take support through 2028.
Man, so my Mac Mini, not my current Mac Mini because that's an A4 chip, but or A3 chip, A3. But my old Mac Mini, who I love very, very much, still running the Intel processor. So it's like, I guess we've got a year or so of Tahoe and then.
Well, I keep thinking about my M1 as a brand new Mac, but it's not. It's old now.
Same with my iPad Air or
Yeah.
iPad Air, MacBook Air. It's an M1. I mean, it has never led me astray. That thing has chugged along. Maybe it's like the battery life is slightly less than it was, right out of the box, but I have been so impressed with that thing.
Yeah, but the battery life's so long on those things, like you barely even notice.
Yeah. Microsoft confirmed it is going to move its annual Build Developer Conference out of Seattle for the first time since it started in 2017. This is going to start next year. No word on a new location or change in format if there is going to be one, but the company has canceled all future reservations at Seattle's Convention Center. Microsoft emphasized it remains committed to hosting a major developer event next year. My big question is, where's it going to be?
Redmond. That's my guess. They're just going to move it to the Microsoft campus.
Yep,
They've
move
done
back-
it there
back
before
internal.
because
Yep.
they've done it in San Francisco, they've done it in Anaheim, and they've done it in Redmond. It's cheaper. They already have the land. Just move it back.
It's working really well for Apple doing it on campus with the
There you go.
smaller group
Yeah.
and just being mostly online.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they have a lot of people not working remote these days, so they probably got space.
What if it
I don't
was?
know.
What if it was Greenville, Illinois?
I bet you could get the Bond County Fairgrounds during May. They don't use those all year round. So yeah.
Do you have an outside arena for a stage kind of thing?
Yes, yeah. There's where they do the demo derby. You can use that for the yeah. And the tractor pole.
Don't count it out. Don't
Just
count
make sure
it
you
out.
bring boots. Wear boots to Microsoft.
Well, you're in Greenville. You should probably be wearing boots.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
All right, that is our top 3 stories of the day, but there's more. Okay, everybody, tell me if this story sounds familiar because you
Okay.
might be having deja vu as I tell you about this. The Wall Street Journal reports that Google's AI-powered search features, like AI overviews and the new AI mode, are drastically reducing referral traffic to news websites by replacing traditional search links with direct chatbot answers. Some publishers have moved to things like a subscription model, right, to get some money back, building apps, hosting events, direct reader relationships, and there are ongoing legal battles to protect publisher content. There are also licensing deals that are going on between some publishers and some AI firms. All right, so before we get into some of this data here, this does feel like a story from several years ago. It's like, haven't we been talking about this for some time?
Oh, yeah. If you take AI out of this, Wall Street Journal reports that Google has drastically reduced referral traffic to news websites is a story going back 15, 20 years. Like, that was happening before 3 years ago. And I'm not trying to say that AI overviews or even ChatGPT have not changed the traffic patterns, but other things are also affecting people going to news sites from search, not just the AI overviews.
Yeah. So some data here. If someone's like, all right, well, what's the new part of the story? Data from SimilarWeb, which is a data analytics company, shows that certain publishers, not all of them, but Huffington Post, Business Insider, and the Washington Post have all seen organic search traffic. That means you're looking for a news story. You're going to click on that Washington Post article because that's right at the top. Those have dropped by over 50% since 2022. All right, so it's trending downward, not upward. The New York Times, this is also based on similar web data, saw organic search to its desktop and mobile websites down to 36.5% in April of this year from almost 44% 3 years earlier. Not a huge drop, but definitely trending downward. And then, yes, even though the Wall Street Journal reported on this actual story, its traffic from organic search was up in April compared with 3 years prior, but share of overall traffic declined to 24% from 29%. So Wall Street Journal kind of coasting along here. And the irony is not lost on me that it's also a Wall Street Journal article talking about this. But I think if you're looking at the graphs, right, you're looking at the graphs over the last 5 years, there is no way you're going to get that traffic back if you're a publisher. The publishers know it. And many have been taking steps to change things. I, as a person who reads a lot of news because we're making DTNS live every day. I am increasingly frustrated with stuff that gets paywalled, but at the same time, I'm not mad at the company doing it because they're just trying to get their money back.
Yeah, but the paywall also reduces your likelihood to click on a link in search. I definitely,
100%.
when I see Reuters, when I see Business Insider, when I see the Washington Post, New York Times, if there's another link there, I will click on that one instead. So again, I'm not trying to dispute that the AI overviews aren't having an effect, but just these numbers alone don't tell me the story. Especially when you note that Washington Post and Business Insider both put in more aggressive paywalls in the past 3 years and saw the steepest declines. I'm like, are we sure it's not the paywalls? Maybe it's not, but
Yeah.
it's very correlative, and the traffic to news was already going down before AI overviews ever came in. So it's a complex issue. And I don't think just saying like, well, 3 years ago, ChatGPT launched and now we have less traffic to news tells the whole story.
No, certainly not. And I also think, so I've got my trusted news sources, and in many cases, it's a trusted reporter that works for a trusted news source. And that said, I kind of rarely will go to like Bloomberg.com and see what's going on there. First of all, behind a paywall, but that has been going on for me, unless for whatever reason, I'm just like, you know what? Let's just see what's on the homepage of The Verge.
Sure.
I do that sometimes, but I don't do that every day, and I haven't for a long time.
How
I
often
use
do
an
you
RSS reader to aggregate stuff.
How often do you even use search to go to a news article? How often is it some other way like an RSS reader?
The only time, well, I'm sure there are some exceptions, but pretty much the time, like you say, like a Reuters article where it's like, I know what the headline is. I will put that headline into
You'll
search
to find the Yahoo Finance version.
Yeah. And then it'll be like, per Reuters, here's the story, because it's like I have to read the story. I can't subscribe to all these, all these outlets. And so that is when I do that. And even then, half the time the search is useless. It doesn't give you anything except
you don't
that
find the thing you're looking for.
You're right. You can play around a little bit with the how the headline is worded to try to surface something else, but it is very whack-a-mole. So I don't know who exactly has been using search specifically this way to figure out what's going on in the news without
Fewer people.
Fewer people. Well, yeah, fewer people. But even when if you were the person who used to do it and don't anymore, it's like, I don't really know how that worked either. I used to go specifically to, I'd be like TechCrunch.com. I mean, I also worked at TechCrunch for a while. So, of course, that would be like my homepage. But, there would be news outlets where it's like, let's see what's going on. Let's see what's going on in tech and the world. And you can do that still. You can do that. But I feel like my Feedly representation of all of these news sites kind of aggregated together in one nice feed is such a better use of my time.
Yeah.
Now, of course, I don't read news the way maybe an average person does because we do a news show.
Outside of what you do for your work, how do you read news?
Same way.
You go to Feedly?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, TMZ is not in my Feedly, but, I end up there every so often.
But how do you end up there? Do you go directly or do
I go
you
directly.
search?
Yeah, no, I don't do search.
Yeah.
No, I sort of like, what celebrity got arrested yesterday kind of thing. That's what I do maybe at the end of the day because I have
How
half
often
an
do
hour.
you read about it on a social media post somewhere and then go and look at the story?
Fairly often.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably where the traffic is really driving from these days is, you see somebody, posting something on X or Threads or Instagram or whatever, and you're kind of like, I want more context. And that's where then you end up at that HuffPost article.
I think more people go to news that way. And those sources are less likely to send to the traditional sources mentioned in this Wall Street Journal article, which are the New York Times, Washington Post, Business Insider, right? They're going to blogs, they're going to Substacks, they're going to other places. And saying, traffic from search to traditional news outlets is declining is like saying people use the internet differently. We are getting our news personally, or we're getting it from notifications. We're getting it in different ways. I never search for news unless I'm doing what we were talking about earlier, where I'm trying to find the Yahoo Finance story. It's just very rare that I'm trying to get news that way anyway. Amos, what about you?
I was just thinking, going back to 2005, I've always just either used some sort of, at the time it was roughshod, but some sort of aggregator, an RSS feed that had a bunch of stuff added to it, or by going directly to the site itself. And I'm still the same way now. I've elevated my game to Feedly and going directly to BGR or whatever site it is that I'm looking at. And once the site hits a paywall or annoys me enough with a paywall, I just cut that out of my circulation.
You don't get it from social media posts?
Well, for social media posts, it's kind of the same way, but that's the only time I'm actually using search is if I see a social media post and I don't know where the best thing would be. But if I see it, say there's a story about some flaw in macOS or whatever, I'm just going to go to I can't even think of anything, like 9 to 5 Mac or whatever to see a site specific for that. I'm still not going to use search. So I don't know that this necessarily applies to me because I've always found search to be janky and just never really used it much. I've always tried to go directly to the source, in hope that I'll find some other, serendipitously find some other story I'm interested in, as opposed to just focusing on the one thing.
No, I'm with you on that. I do the same thing. And sometimes that 9 to 5 Mac story is actually quoting another publication, and they're they're saying like, hey, as reported by whoever, and so I'll click through as much as I can to go back, like, is this the original source? Okay, this is the link that we're going to put in our show notes, for example.
Yep. Even
though there might be a variety of ways that you could have read that story, then it gives credit where credit is due.
Yeah, it goes back to BGR. It used to be the best aggregator site out there. You go there and you can find any story you wanted about anything tech because BGR had a little blurb on it, and then once it kind of went to crap, you start using other sources. But yeah, never been a search kind of person to find the news.
Well, Tom, you are a smartphone person. And I know that
Am I a smartphone person or smartphone
person?
You're smart, and you're also a smartphone person. You're a smartphone person.
Thank you.
Okay, double smart. One of the biggest smartphone makers in the world, who you may or may not have heard of, is now getting into EVs. This is kind of interesting.
Yeah, so you might have heard us talk about Shenzhen's Transsion before, Transsion. It's the leading smartphone maker in countries in Africa. In the African market, it has about 50% of the African smartphone market. So if you've seen brands like Tecno, Tecno, or Infinix, or itel, those are Transsion-made brands. Those are the ones that are dominating the African market. They are getting into EVs. So Sony is doing this. Sony makes phones, and Sony's making that a Fila car in partnership. Xiaomi is doing this. Xiaomi's making full-on EVs themselves and making phones. And Transsion wants to do it in the African market because that's where they dominate. So they are taking on a bunch of local companies there in places like Nigeria and Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, is where Transsion is putting out its tank volt e-bikes. They launched them in Uganda in 2023, and they're now expanding. They are the number 3 EV maker by sales in Africa right now, with the expectation by the end of next year, they think they'll be the leader in the market. So what they're trying to do is take advantage of the fact that they have the whole supply chain. just like they do with phones. They make the e-bikes, they distribute the e-bikes, and they lease the e-bikes or sell the e-bikes, and they go direct to the customers. The bikes cost about $1,500. They can either come with a built-in battery or a swappable battery, and they will lease batteries to people who want to set up a battery swap site. So if you buy one of these bikes, you can go to one of those places, swap out the battery for cheap. It's like refilling your gas, and then you're recharged really fast. They are in competition with a lot of local folks in building that infrastructure, but they've got the advantage of they don't have to buy their bikes from somebody else. They don't have to pay somebody else to get them there. They've got the whole chain up till then. I just thought it was interesting to talk about this. In a lot of ways, Africa will leapfrog because it's not tied down to previous infrastructure. There was mobile payments in Africa decades, especially in places like Kenya with M-Pesa, before it caught on in the rest of the world. And I'm wondering if, with all this competition, because it's not just Transsion that's trying to do this, whether actual electric bikes and battery swapping become widespread in Africa long before it happens in other parts of the world. I know it's happening in some parts of Southeast Asia too, but it looks like this is about to take off.
The whole battery swapping part of this is really interesting to me, because I don't have a scooter. A lot of people ride scooters around in my neighborhood. The Lime scooter is pretty much the scooter of choice in my part of LA, but the idea that the scooter then runs out of juice and you still need it, just give me the new battery, a little swappy swap. And then the other battery gets charged somewhere else, and that makes a lot more sense than all these like dead scooters on the street all the time.
I'm going to take a little bit of a different angle here. I love this story because Africa is the second most populated continent. It's also the second largest continent by geographic size. It has the highest population growth rate in the world for the continent. Anytime we can have one of these stories where there's a company that coming in, trying to innovate and trying to do major, like big things like this, major tech stories in Africa, it excites me because this is an underserved population in general. And as Tom said, anytime Africa catches on to something, it's not only does it kind of leapfrog often, it also shows the rest of the world an example of how it can work in very diverse and very difficult circumstances. So then you go from there, and the other companies outside of Africa can be like, oh, look at all that they're doing down there, and we can learn that to do here. So maybe, China's been doing swappable batteries for a while in cars. Maybe we finally get something like that in the US because Africa can show, this company can show that it is possible and it is viable. That's the exciting part about this to me. That I like Africa as a continent that leads other, inadvertently leads other countries, countries in continents to innovate in ways that they didn't think possible because it can be done in Africa, a very difficult.
Yeah, and not just the battery swapping part of it too, but the e-bike part of it. Focusing on that. When we talk about electric vehicles, we almost always think Tesla, right? We always think some high-end sports car, Rivian, something like that. This is showing like there's lots of different ways to approach electric vehicles, and this is a thriving market. You've got Spiro from Benin, you've got Ampersand from Rwanda, you've got Dodai from Ethiopia, and that's just a few of them. There's others as well, and rest of the world did a good job of saying like the local manufacturers, which there are local manufacturers, have the advantage of knowing their market better, but then they still have to buy their devices from elsewhere. They have to buy them usually from somebody in China. Transsion has the advantage in that it's got experience with the African market through its phones, but it also has the whole supply chain here. I wonder if somebody just needs to start making e-bikes in Africa, and maybe it's Transsion to kind of jumpstart that too. But it's an entire undercovered, not just underserved, but undercovered aspect of the tech world that you've got all these brands and these competitions in huge countries, multiple countries that are available for people to take advantage of. Yep.
And let's be honest, EV market, the electric vehicle market here being in the US being mostly large cars, not as appealing in major cities where you don't have parking.
Yeah, think about that. Like, I know that Lime scooters and everything is what we have the most experience with in the US, but if you could get a $1,500 EV, keep it in your stairwell even, right? And then be able to get wherever you need to go by just popping on a helmet. It's a lot easier to get around. Granted, you're not going fast, you're not going as far.
It's not weaterproof, but
I
there's
mean,
that too.
you have
We need EVs
limited
to fit in elevators.
storage. You kind of have to put it in a backpack type thing. But for day-to-day stuff, it's like, I mean, I have a relatively large car. It's like, I don't fill that car up with storage. Once in a while I do, but for day-to-day stuff, I don't really, all I kind of really need is just to get my person from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Right.
And these are like, these are little motorcycle size, moped size things.
Yeah.
So you can do some carting around. They show them with, boxes on board and storage compartments. So yeah, you're not going to carry the same amount you carry in an SUV. You're certainly not going to carry your kids around in this, but
you both live in a fairly dense urban area. I mean, how often would you just think, man, I want to go there, but I don't want to drive. I don't want to park. If it was just simpler, I would go.
Oh yeah,
out and do
absolutely.
that
Especially if we're going out to eat, we will sometimes pick a restaurant because of its parking.
I mean, that's the market right there. That's why this is such an important story to me, is because if they can do it in Africa with the diversity and the problems that they have there, then why can't we do it in the U.S. in L.A.?
Also,
it's
the weather thing, you have diverse weather markets here. Like, everybody thinks Africa, they think the Sahara Desert, but that's that's not most of it. There's lots of different climates amongst
and
the
elevations,
countries and elevations and all of that.
It's a very diverse continent. I love it.
Well, folks, if you're watching us on the YouTube live stream, could you do us the favor of clicking that like button, ring that bell, as they say? It helps us. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We appreciate it.
All right, we are literally shifting gears, everybody, because Amazon just aired its first ever NASCAR Cup Series races. For a look at how fans are reacting and what's working and where the rubber meets the road on streaming, we've got Amos. Amos, take it away.
I am the resident NASCAR fan. I love racing in all forms. NASCAR is just the one that I started with, and it's one that's central here to the U.S. So there's only a few races outside the U.S. So NASCAR just had 2 races on Amazon Prime. It's the first time that they've done Amazon Prime. It's the first time Amazon Prime has dedicated such a big time of live streaming to racing. They did the Coca-Cola 600 last week, and then this last week's race in Michigan International Raceway. I've been vocal for a long time about how NASCAR needs to get their streaming game together. The pandemic was like a great time because they streamed all their races on YouTube, even though there's no one in the stands. These last 2 races on Amazon Prime drew in an average of 2.72 million viewers. NASCAR's been going on FS1 in USA, which is where I really get irritated. And there they've only been pulling about 2.46 million average viewers. And compare that to when you get NASCAR on the main platforms, such as Fox with the Daytona 500, one of the supposedly the biggest race of the year, 3.2 million viewers. So Amazon comes in mid-season. It's not playoffs yet. It's kind of just that past the halfway point, literally the first race after the halfway point after the All-Star race. And for the 5 races, it's coming in, and for the first 2, it's averaged almost as much as the marquee races on Fox. That's huge. The big things that I've noticed,
especially because you don't have a cable version of this, right?
Right. No,
this
there's
is
no cable
only
version.
on Amazon Prime versus FS1 or USA.
Right, which is, they broadcast it out there, and I don't get those because I don't have cable, and it's not easy to find a way to stream those. So I usually end up just watching a bootleg version on YouTube a couple days later. My experience using Amazon Prime to watch these races, no full screen commercials during green flag racing. Green flags are when when the actual racing's going on. It's not under caution or anything else. The actual action of the game.
Does that mean they run full screen commercials during yellows and reds?
They did, yeah. There was this last week. There was a red flag that lasted about 10 minutes when they stopped the cars on the track. There's no movement at all. They ran full screen commercials then, and during yellows, there's at least 2 intermissions per race, and then anytime there's a wreck or whatever else, they'll throw a yellow flag to have everybody drive slowly. And they'll show a full screen ad during that time, but there's no action actually happening. There's no passing can happen during those times, so there's no, you're not missing anything. But during green flag, they never once showed a full screen ad over green. They showed the race. So
you didn't miss any of the consequential parts of the race,
right? And then you still have the announcers, the commentators, Dale Jr., Corey LaJoy. They've got some commentators that are still active race car drivers. And they're doing great. It's been fun. It's been refreshing. It's not the same old voices. And then you top that off with the standard things of when you come back from a commercial, they still review what happened, or when there's a wreck or whatever else, they'll still go back and show the other angles. I haven't been missing angles of the race. I haven't been missing the commentary. Everything's been really, really good. The interviews have been great. And the graphics, sometimes on some channels when they put the graphics up, you're missing part of the race because the graphics are just so big and obstructive. Amazon's been really informative with the graphics, and they don't show them on the screen all the time. So a lot of times you get full screen racing. You don't get the overlays that would normally block some of the screen. I'm loving it. This has been the best NASCAR. Oh, this may sound small, but if you start the race late, you don't have to wait for the race to end, and you're not locked into the current live position. You can start the race. You can start watching the race halfway through the race and start from the beginning and just stream from that point on. That alone, I mean, that sounds so basic for
basically
a live
like
stream
a
on the internet.
DVR. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why was
but
that not
that's-
an option before?
Some streamers don't allow that. They want you to watch the live only.
Live is
or
live.
wait until it's done
Live
to
is
watch
live.
it.
Well,
yeah.
I get it.
I gotta say, like if I were to choose a streaming service to show the rest of NASCAR for the next 5 years, I'd go with Amazon Prime.
But what does Amazon Prime have for the next several years? Just half the season?
As of right now, they have the next 3 races. They've already shown 2, including the Coca-Cola 600, which goes on the same day as the Indy 500. It's part of a 3-race get-up. So that's the longest race of the year. This race last week was the Michigan race, and that's the fastest race of the year because of the speeds that they're reaching. And then the next 3 races, and then it's going to drop off, and it's going to start getting into like the crunch time before the playoffs. I'm hoping they get more next year. I don't think the broadcast rights for next year have been announced yet, but I really hope they get more next year. This is a great experience.
So there's a chance you'll get more of them next year. We just don't know yet.
Right.
I remember. So NASCAR, I am just woefully inept. I cannot talk about NASCAR to anybody without them laughing me out of the room. But as far as sports goes, we all have our favorite sports. And I remember when Amazon bought the rights, which, if I have this right, was 2017 to NFL Thursday night games, non-exclusive. And that came out of a previous partnership between the NFL and Twitter, when it was still Twitter, which didn't last very long. And I never really understood what that was all about. But even when it went to Amazon, I was like, really? Like, that's what we're doing on Thursday nights now? Very normal. I mean, it didn't take long for people to be like, yeah, this is a great way to watch stuff.
Yeah. I actually really like Apple TV's and Friday night Major League Baseball games. I was a little annoyed when it first came along that if it was the Cardinals or the Dodgers that we wouldn't get our normal broadcasters. But the broadcasting team is really good. It's kind of like when ESPN does a national game where you're like, oh, it'll be a good broadcast. That's fine. Or Fox doing a national game. And I notice a lot of similarities to what Amos was saying, where like they do a lot of things better, where they're not like tied to the old ways of doing it. So the on-screen graphics are more informative. They're less intrusive. All of that kind of stuff is true as well. I think a lot of these new streaming providers are inconvenient for people who know the old way of doing it. But once you get it, which is not incredibly difficult to do, you just need a device like your smart TV or a streaming stick or something like that. A lot of times the service is better on those things. It's just a matter of figuring out where they are and whether you can afford to subscribe. I think that's where the annoyance really comes in.
And a quick correction: the announcement wasn't just for this year; it's actually through 2031. So this will be the type of coverage we get for the next 5 years.
Okay. So they'll have 3 races for the next 5 years. Okay.
Five races for the next.
5 races. Sorry.
Yep.
Got it. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, and then the big stuff going to be on Fox and NBC. But then a lot of times, if there's other things going on Fox or NBC, we'll delegate those down to USA or FS1, which makes it to where nobody can watch it. Well, I can't watch it.
I mean, you can. You could subscribe to YouTube TV.
Yeah, I could, or I could just,
You just
wait
have
2
to
days and watch it.
pay for
bootleg.
it. Yeah, exactly.
This is the same argument though, Tom, that we've been having on Court forever. Like, make it convenient, and I won't bootleg it.
It
Make
is convenient.
easy.
You don't want to pay for it, which I totally understand.
That's the only thing on those channels that I would watch.
Yeah. So
So-
it's not worth $80 a month to just watch those things. I think that's fair
Right.
to say. So when Fox creates its over-the-top service later this year, where you'll be able to get Fox Sports directly without having to get a full package, that might be a better option.
And that might be why that's appealing to me. So
Yeah.
but now
Yeah.
it's just not. So
But what I'm saying is we are still in that transition period, and we're going to have more of those kinds of options. I'm really looking for that day that they give pay-per-view options for things to kind of suck you into their service, right? Like,
oh yeah.
pay $1.99 to watch this race, and we'll give you access to the entire system free for a week. See if you like it.
Well, just NFL gives me I pay $100 a year, and I get to stream every game. I may not be able to stream it right now as it's live, but I get at least one live game each time period, and then I can watch any game I want after they're completed. If NASCAR did the same thing, just let me pay $100 a year. I can watch the actual race, but if I want any of the extra stuff, I have to either wait afterwards or whatever else.
That's coming too, because the NFL blacks you out of local stuff, right? MLB blacks you out of local stuff. MLS doesn't anymore because Apple struck that deal. I think there's more deals like that coming where you'll be able to do that more often per sport.
Give me my NFL and my NASCAR to pay for individually, and I'm in all the way.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you guys would like to talk about this over DMs on Threads.
Oh, are you telling us to take it outside?
Yeah, that's just you got it out of your system. That was fun.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, Threads, I did not realize did not have a DM feature because it kicked you out over to Instagram until today, until a day soon after today.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg said they are testing a new feature on Threads this week called direct messages, where you will be able to send a message just to one other person. You'll be able to send DMs without having to go to Instagram to do it, because Instagram has had them for a long time. Your inbox will be accessible with an envelope icon in the navigation bar. So if you see that, that means you got access to it. And to start, you'll need to be in Hong Kong, Thailand, or Argentina, because those are the first 3 markets to get it. More markets coming soon. I use Threads. I don't use direct messages hardly ever on anything. I definitely don't leave my DMs open, which I understand most people do these days. They just leave DMs open for anyone to message you, which makes all of those complaints about how people act on DMs make a lot more sense to me. I'm curious what the panel does with DMs. Sarah, do you leave your DMs open?
I do. On
what? You do?
On X I do, but
wow.
I know.
I'm surprised.
But
I'm not shocked. I'm just surprised.
And I'm not saying like, I'm the like not popular or anything, but I'm like, most of all that stuff gets filtered into, you have, I don't know, when I'm usually using X on macOS. Sometimes like right now I'm looking at the web version. So it's like, all right, I go into my messages, my DMs, and you've got message requests. Where somebody has to request to message me if I don't know them. They're not just like blocked. So there's that stuff, and I just don't check it because it's almost always like crypto spam or something.
Yeah, right.
And then there's, a variety of other people who, I don't know, who's the last person I actually DM'd with? May 27th. Okay, so a couple weeks ago.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and it was
I've DM'd with someone more recently than you, May 30th for me.
Yeah. But this was like a person I didn't know who was like, "Hey, I think our businesses align." And I was just, I don't know why I don't just sit on my hands sometimes, but I was like, in what specific way do they align? And then it just turned into like a very weird, like, where I was like, okay, bye-bye, goodbye. But not to say that DMs are just always a bunch of like, just a bunch of crazy people who are trying to sell you something or, being weird. It's a very easy way to talk to people on the back channel. Remember back when Instagram got really, really big, especially with the young kids, and kids would be like, that's how we text. We text on Instagram DM. That's how we talk to each other. Not everybody did it that way, but it was a very young person thing where I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess if that's where all of your friends are hanging out, then that's the platform that you're going to use. I didn't realize, even though I know that when Threads launched, Threads was, very entrenched in whatever Instagram presence you already had. So if you have a bunch of Instagram friends, you got an Instagram profile, your Threads profile, they're kind of one and the same, even though they're different. I can see where Meta at this point, and quite frankly, I'm shocked it didn't happen sooner, would be like, a lot of people are hanging out on Threads, but not Instagram, or vice versa. The two of them, they don't feel like the same to me at all. The only thing really is sometimes I will post something on Instagram. It's a cute photo of my dog, and it will auto post to Threads. And Threads will Instagram will ask me, "Do you want to do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not? It's fine. Why not? More dog is more fun." But otherwise, I feel like they need to kind of become their own little children. And not,
They pretty
twins.
much have. I mean, when when Threads launched, it was tied to Instagram, and then they quickly started to cut the cords. And I think having independent DMs is another way to move it. But there are definitely people who I follow on Threads who don't have an Instagram account. There are now people, more and more people all the time who I follow on Instagram that they're like, hey, do you want to follow them on Threads? So, I feel like they jump-started Threads popularity by tying it to Instagram, but they're moving it away. I'm still shocked that you have open DMs. Like I don't have anything where I don't say I have to follow you and you follow me for us to DM, unless it's not an option. Because Facebook Messenger is kind of a hybrid between DMs and a group chat function. And I know there I get the people requesting to message you, which is also mostly crypto spam. But you can't not set it to do that. That's just kind of the way it's set up, I think. Unless
okay, I stand corrected. I am looking at my current DM settings. This is on X, so X specifically, and I didn't do this on purpose. I used to have everyone could message me. Now it's only verified users.
Oh, I have no one. No one is allowed to request a message from me.
I'm going to go back to everyone. You know what?
Really?
Open the floodgate. Why not? The verified user thing is actually more annoying to me.
Yeah, the verified user stuff has changed.
I don't
so
pay
it's
attention
not what
to
it
that.
used to be. Yeah.
Message me. Why not?
Amos, what do you do?
First of all, I recommend all my daughters not have any kind of floodgates open to any of their socials. Just as a father, don't be a woman on the internet with an open DM. I really only instant message about or DM about 3 or 4 people on any given social media platform, and it's pretty much always the same 3 or 4 people, and all we do is share memes. I used to use a lot of DMs in Twitter, and then that died and was replaced by Threads, and I didn't even realize they didn't have the option. So
I only DM people when they DM me first. I was just looking at all my ex DMs, and they're all responses to other people.
Yeah.
I will use Messenger to proactively message people sometimes, but not even a lot there.
I think there's almost an anxiety to getting a DM on a social media platform now. Because if I get a DM on Facebook, for example, I know it's not going to be good. It's gonna be someone I didn't cut out at the right time, or it's
Yeah,
gonna
I
be,
mean,
you know,
most of
some
the time,
spam
I think we
stuff,
can
or-
agree. Most of the time, it's garbage, right? It's just like, oh God, let's close those floodgates. Although I will say, and of course, everybody has to, proceed with caution, safety first. But I have had people just like cold DM me out of the blue. Like, hey, Sarah, I like your show. I like Daily Tech News Show. And, it would be so fun to like buy you a coffee sometime, something like that. I've also done that with people that I, like and admire. And every so often that turns into something that is a friendship. I have a few good friends now that started in that sort of like, I'm cold calling you. How embarrassing. I hope you respond.
I've had that happen on the platform, the public platform, and then said, hey, let DM me this. And then I follow them and they follow me, and then they can DM me because that's my setting.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much I'm missing, I guess, by not having that happen directly on the DM.
For me, I think if someone out there wants to get a hold of me and they're not already in one of my little friend circles or whatever, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com or find me on Discord. All my DMs are open in Discord, and that kind of almost self-eliminates.
I don't even have them open in Discord.
I think that kind of self-eliminates
I don't
most
have them
people
open
that
in
would
Discord.
just randomly
That
come
would-
across me.
That would, even I have my own limits. Yeah, I mean, it's true. I think we're all online enough that if somebody wants to get a hold of us, I mean, it's up to us
There are
whether
ways,
we want to
yeah.
engage.
Yeah.
But it's like, I have like public email addresses. It's not hard to get a hold of me, or or DM me. I don't know,
Or just at reply. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a secret. Direct message is for things you don't need other people to see.
right.
I really like the way Discord does it because you can't find my username on Discord unless you're part of a community I'm already part of.
Oh, that helps.
So
yeah,
it's it self-eliminates.
I do use Instagram direct messaging for some people, like my Korean teacher, when she was setting up a group dinner for our class. We all follow her on Instagram, so she used that to communicate with. There's been a few interesting things like that.
It's very specific. That's not really
Yeah,
general use,
but it's not a
you know.
generalized thing. You're right.
But it's something where you're like, you know what? It works.
It worked. It worked for that.
works.
Yeah.
For that sort of situation. All right, everybody. We love getting your feedback, so let's do that with the mailbag. What does a more eco-conscious, fuel-efficient airplane look like going forward? Guess who has some thoughts? Chris Christensen is reporting.
This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler with another Tech in Travel Minute. I probably took my first flight 60 years ago, and one thing that has not changed in that time is the shape of an airplane. A commercial airplane is a tube with a tail and two wings, and you all know what it looks like, but Delta Airlines, Jet Zero, and the U.S. Air Force are working to change that. They're developing a revolutionary blended wing body aircraft design, BWB, to cut fuel consumption by up to 50% compared to traditional planes. The design merges the wings and the fuselage into a single aerodynamic structure, a kind of triangular shape, looks like a spacecraft. It reduces the drag and enables greater efficiency. Their first plane is set to carry over 250 passengers, and they're aiming for their first test flight in 2027. So the future of air travel may have a different look. This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler.
Looks like a paper airplane.
It looks awesome.
The
Now,
seat.
for anybody who
concept seat,
wasn't watching
anyway.
the video, it's like, wow, that. Yeah, somebody in chat, who was it? Greg, GPEG84, there goes the window seat. There are window seats, but yeah, there seems to be a lot more kind of in the middle areas of the plane. But it also looks very futuristic.
I just look at it and see how hard it would be to work on with such limited space. That's my own PTSD, though, from working on airplanes for so long.
That makes sense. Renard wrote in and said, if you were complaining about the new iOS naming convention, where they're naming it after the last two digits of the year instead of the version number, you don't remember the early days of Madden. Madden's early football games were single digits, but eventually they renamed them after the calendar year. That made it easier so people did not have to remember what number we were on, and they just came obvious that the calendar year is what we're going to stick with. I'm not saying I don't understand people resisting the version number change, but it just makes so much sense to me to be like, oh yeah, it's macOS 26, macOS 27 next year. Like earlier today, I had to say what next year's version of macOS would be, and it was so easy to know because I'm like, oh yeah, next year is 26, so it'll be macOS 26.
Mm-hmm. I don't actually remember it not being the year for Madden.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Here's the catch, though. So magazines, the date of the magazine will be the month that you pull it off the shelf, not the month it comes out. So, like Madden, right now. If Madden comes out right now, it'll be Madden 26 because that's when
that's
when
what they're doing with macOS. Did none of us notice that? The macOS that's coming out in October 2025 is macOS 26.
26, exactly.
That may be more annoying than anything else, that it's actually not the year it came out with, but I'm fine with it.
But
I
they're
think
following
it
the
makes
same
more
convention
sense.
It's like a car model year. Yeah, you buy the 20.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You buy the 2026 model, and you can buy it as early as September 2025.
Yeah,
and it ends.
Well, it also just sounds like if we get iOS 26 in October, right, or September, October, whatever, then if it was iOS 2025 or 25, then it'd be like, oh, okay, and now it's old.
They should release the new operating systems on January 1st, just so it's easy for all.
They actually should. That is my argument about,
it's January 7th, and I keep writing the wrong version number on all my OSs.
With pen and paper, no less. Oh, boy. Well, remember, everybody, that we love your feedback. Keep it coming. Remember, you can send in your comments to feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can also try to DM us. But feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com is the best way to make sure that we see the email, because we do
at least
read
for
them
me.
all. Yeah.
What should we name this show? We asked you to name it earlier in the show, and you responded. We have 20 suggested episode titles, but only 18 people have voted. Y'all watching live, you need to get in there and vote. DTNS.showbot.tv. It's not a UFO. It's a new Delta wing from JPEG 84 has no votes. That deserves a vote.
It really does.
Yeah. Top of the votes are Larry in Atlanta with Microsoft Build and Tractor Pull. Kind of liking that idea. Think about it, Microsoft. I can get you in touch with the VFW folks in Greenville. And then Prime Video Turns Left, also from Larry in Atlanta. Get it? Because it's NASCAR. Yeah.
Drive fast, turn left.
Yep.
We got Africa Sets the Tech Trend from JPEG.
Oh, yeah. More dog, more fun from Zoe Brings Bacon.
That's what I say. Unless you have to take your dog to bed every 5 days.
Build wants goats from Fred 819 because it's at the fairgrounds. It's genius.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, my gosh.
I wasn't even going to get that one.
And Traction for Transsion by Fred.
Also from Fred. Nice. Good stuff. Yeah, I had to think because the Bond County Fair is usually in August, but the 4-H fair is earlier in the summer. But I don't think it's May.
That's the perfect time to release next year's OS, Microsoft. It'll go right in line with the car releases.
What if Apple decided to go Lunar New Year, release its operating systems in February, and name them like dog, dragon, snake?
Yeah. But you'd have to redo it every 12 years if it,
Okay, yeah. Dog 2. Yeah, it doesn't work. Well, Sarah, what are we naming this show?
We are going with Larry in Atlanta's Microsoft Build and Tractor Pull.
Yes. Very excited about this.
It is. Listen, we're going into
Microsoft.
I was about to say Sonoma County Fair because that's the county fair I always went to. The county fair era of 2025.
I'm sure the Bond County Fairgrounds folks would love to work with you, Microsoft. Please contact me in my DMs.
Yeah. This could be a trend though. You could have Google I/O and Crash Derby.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
WWDC and
Blue,
No, I know-
you could
I
have
know-
blue ribbon software updates.
I know county fairs, well, state fairs, but let's talk county fairs. They're different. Depends on where you are, what you're doing,
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah.
My county fair, big deal. You went to the fair. That's what you did, like multiple times. And like once we were like almost teenagers, you would go late because they would keep the all the rides going until like midnight. So it was
at the
like,
midway.
please, Mom, can we go late? And she'd be like, don't accept weird things from strangers, but okay. But thought about this the other day because a friend of mine is doing like a food truck thing in Wisconsin. Totally not a state fair thing, but one of the food trucks, she basically has this land and is leasing out the space to a variety of trucks, and one of the trucks is a candied apple truck. The whole thing. Whole truck is candied apples. And I was like, candied apple? That's it? That's all they got? And she was like, yeah, people love it, because it's summer. So I thought, all right, candied apple versus caramel apple. Because my...
Caramel apple for me.
yeah, I mean, candied apple, I can I guess I can get through it. But
They both mess up your
apple,
teeth, but
Oh, but the caramel apple is the better apple.
definitely.
Oh my gosh, the better apple.
I'm gonna go with just the plain apple.
Well, yes.
That's not a
but
choice.
You have to choose between candied or caramel at
That's
the state
just called
fair.
lunch.
Or the-
That's not a state fair food.
The county fair.
Can,
No, it's
can I
fine.
lick all the caramel off and then just eat the apple?
Of course, that's a perfectly appropriate
there
approach.
we go. There
Yeah.
we go. Then that's my choice.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like corn dog or bagel dog.
Yeah, you can't say
you
like,
just
I just
decide
want
that
the
you're
hot
one
dog.
or the other.
Yeah, you got to be on the
Yes.
side.
Just the brat. That's all I want. No, you have to choose. You have to choose, and you have to dip.
Let us know. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com or my DMs.
Indeed. Yeah. And good luck. Tom is going to really think about those DMs, and that's why he's not getting back to you.
That's right.
I recently found out how much of a failure I've been as a father by grilling some Angus hot dogs on the grill and giving them to the family, and blew all their minds away because it tastes so much better than the boiled hot dogs we typically cook. And I was like, man, I've been holding out on you guys for
Yeah.
far too long.
That's grounds for a lawsuit in some states. Yeah.
It's such a difference. I'd forgotten how much of a difference it was, and now it's like we're having hot dogs like twice a week now.
Oh, really? That's amazing.
The
Everyone's
family's
like,
infatuated with them.
Well, one of the things that keeps us all in hot dogs is your support of the show. So big thanks to everyone who supports us by watching the show on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on Twitch. In fact, we got some special folks to thank on Twitch today who gave us bits. OPC Milesy did. Amusing AKR followed us. Welcome. Good to have a new follower. Zoe, of course, gave us bits. Thank you, Zoe Brings Bacon. Technomensch cheered us with bits. Thank you so much, Technomensch. Charlie in Columbus resubscribed for the 67th month as well. Thanks to all of you. And then yesterday, I forgot to mention the Patreon raises. We got raises from Trickster and Bob Finnegan Jr. Thank you, Trickster and Bob Finnegan Jr. for upping your Patreon. Really appreciate that. Patreon.com/DTNS.
Well, in the latest episode of Apple Vision Show, Eileen Rivera and I just had nothing to talk about.
Oh, that's so sad.
No
sorry
news.
to
There
hear
was
that.
just nothing.
No,
I'm
I
just
was in
kidding.
the other room while you guys were recording, and it was like, wow. it's
Yeah, I mean,
silent.
we were in tears, really. Like,
Yeah.
there's just nothing to talk about.
just-
I am kidding, of course. It's WWDC week. We went through all the news that mattered to us from the keynote, and there was a lot to parse through. We've been talking about it on various shows, but if you like all things Apple, and you like Eileen and I, and I hope you like both of those things, all of the things, do join us on Apple Vision Show, and you can subscribe at applevisionshow.com. You can also watch us live here on DTNS Live, Monday through Friday. We do it every Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 2000 UTC is where it all pops off. You can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We're back doing it all again tomorrow. Scott Johnson is joining us, and he wants to talk about if Xbox handhelds are real game changers or just another attempt to get some of the premium portable gaming market. Talk to you then.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.